So, 4 years after the first Knack, we got a sequel, and I don't know how to feel about it. This game is really like a different beast. So last time I was talking about how Knack is such a unique game, but Knack 2, although it's a great game, it's really not that unique. So let's just jump in and see what's so different about this game. So Knack 2, how is it? Well, the story starts off with a voiceover explaining the events of the first game, and then it starts off right at the action. Action, action, action. After that, we get brought back 6 months earlier where it all actually happened at the Highlands. So now, there's something here that Lucas wants to show his Uncle Ryder. And so, we start the long journey to the top. And right now, I realize how weirdly paced this prologue is. Anyways, when we reach the top, Lucas shows his uncle this awesome battleground that's hundreds of years old, but things go bad when these robots actually wake up and start attacking them. And so because I was bad at explaining things last time, I'll leave you the rest of the story up to my new assistant, Ava.
Perhaps I can explain the Crystal Wars. It's easy to think of the goblins as primitive creatures who live in the wilderness.
And smelly. Don't forget smelly.
But the truth is, at the time of the Crystal Wars, the goblins had a highly developed civilization. They were known then as the High Goblins, a proud and cruel race, always at war with humankind over the resources they prized most. Crystals, a potent energy source that could be found only in the human territories. The High Goblin leader, a master engineer by the name of Uric, created an army of warrior robots to solve the human problem once and for all. These robots are what we now call the ancient weapons. The humans of that time, our primitive ancestors, were taken completely by surprise at the appearance of Uric and his army. The High Goblin Empire expanded rapidly as their forces rampaged across the country, bringing destruction and death. It was a dark time, and we might not have survived. But a hero emerged. Our founder, Marius. To Uric's surprise, the strength of the robots was outmatched by Marius's ingenuity. Armed with only rocks, vines, traps, and rock hunting, Marius and his troops were able to defeat high-tech weaponry 10 times their size. He led his people to victory that day and for many more to come. The shells of their robot foes littered the landscape as a reminder to all that might oppose them.
It's amazing.
But somehow, 2 centuries later, these ancient robots are coming back to life.
We need to stop these weapons and discover who's behind this.
We're in.
What? Oh, come on. Using the game to explain what's going on in the game isn't lazy. Anyways, the story this time around is way better. It's written better, but I think that some of the lines sound very weird.
Behold, the Armageddon machine.
The acting is also great. A little bit over the top, but it works great.
That's it. Nobody insults Lucas but me.
Yeah! Wait, what?
Because the game doesn't take itself too seriously, and that's a good thing with all the memes the previous game generated. Oh boy. Also, we have some very good cinematography, and some of the cutscenes are very creative and they are shot or animated very well. Like this one with the time lapse, I love that scene. And not even that scene in particular, just the whole scene in general. The story also flows very well, except that you have to replay one chapter 2 times. It's a great chapter, but still. Now I want to talk about the visuals. This game looks stunning. Just like the last game, this one is full of detailed and colorful environments. Sometimes there's even too much color for my taste, but still, the environments are very rich. There's also a lot of variation in them. Unlike the first game, where all of the levels were kind of similar, in this one all of the levels are very unique and different from one another. They have so much character in them. Sometimes you even have people just wandering around, which is a nice touch. Like at this excavation site, people are researching stuff and it feels like a place full of life. Well, until the robots wake up and destroy everything. Also, I love that they fixed the character designs for this game. No more weird people. Well, I mean less weird. And they made Knack look better and more defined. Not detailed, but defined. Like in the first game, Knack looked like a relic monster. He was kind of all over the place, only at the end he looked clearly defined. He almost looked like a tribal warrior. And now Knack actually has a defined form, but they also retain the original look, just upgrading it a little. And not only does it look better than the first game overall, it also runs way better than the first game. And I mean, this game easily hits 60 FPS and stays there with no problem. And the last game was struggling to hit about 40 FPS. The frame rate also helps this game feel a lot more smooth and responsive, which leads me to the gameplay. And the gameplay is as smooth as a jazz song. Just running around in this game feels great. Running, jumping, and the new hover mechanic that you can do, it all feels great. But from here forward, the game becomes very different from the first one. The first game was about the high risk action, where you punch someone before they punch you. That was the cool thing about it. Well, this game is a straight up beat 'em up with a lot of platforming elements. You have your punch combos, kick combos. You can pull enemies to you and beat them up. You can freeze enemies in place and beat them up. The combos this time are also more varied, and you even have a skill tree that you can upgrade, which is really cool. And yeah, you even have a block button to, block or parry your enemies, which is really useful. All of this feels really good during gameplay, but it doesn't feel like Knack anymore. It feels more like a straight up beat 'em up. But who cares? It's a good game. It's an awesome game. And the fighting feels solid AF. The platforming in this game is way better and it's pretty fun. It feels really good moving around. I can't even believe how good it is, how smooth it is. Also, the secret chests that you can find are actually secret, and some of them are very tricky to find, but it's really satisfying when you find them. And like in the first game, they give you some cool stuff that's not really essential gadgets, but they help you out in your journey. Also, the sunstones no longer act the same way. They don't give you magic powers, they don't give you special moves. Now, they act as a shield against attacks, which is pretty cool. Also, there are these super sunstones that give you blades, and this game pretty much turns into Dynasty Warriors at this point. So, another thing, because of Knack being able to be so small and die in one hit, there's also these kind of stealth segments, but I would say that they're just platforming because there are no mechanics in this stealth. It's mainly just avoiding spotlights, so I would say it's just platforming. Also, like in a classic platformer, you have these small sections with variable gameplay, like driving a jet or a tank or a giant robot. I mean, these are awesome. I would say that this game has a better balance between platforming and beat 'em up segments than the first one. I just love it. It's a very good game that deserves to be tried out. And also, if you want to strike for a challenge, you have these medals that you can collect by doing certain challenges. If you get bored, you can try these out. Be my guest. So, after beating Knack 2, you have the same extra modes from last time. First off, you have time attack. It's better than last time, but in Knack 2, there's only 5 stages for time attack, and you can beat them up very easily. Just a quick tip, make sure to beat enemies up for that extra time. It will save you a lot of time. Anyways, it's pretty fun, and this time the end isn't as abrupt. It looks kind of less rushed, and you have this little victory pose, which is pretty cool. Second, you have the Colosseum attack, but they kind of ruined it this time, because last time you had 10 rounds and it was pretty fun trying to overcome the challenge. Now it's pretty much with a timer, so if you survive this timer, you're all good, but if you want them 5 stars, you gotta beat them up. It's pretty fun. But still, 3 stages? Why so little? I don't Anyways, so overall Knack 2, it's an amazing game with a great and fun story, amazing visuals, with a stable 60 FPS, a solid gameplay that's very fun to play, the platforming is really cool with fun and very well hidden chests, the combat is better than ever, combining speed and combat perfectly. You know what? I would absolutely recommend this game to everyone who likes character action games and platformers. Even if you haven't played the first game, this game sums up everything pretty well and lets you enjoy another ride through this fun, beat 'em up, platforming type of game. It might not be as unique as the first game, but this is one game that deserves your time. 10 out of 5! It's a masterpiece, baby! But before we leave, side note. In the first game, a big deal was made about that Lucas's necklace that was so important that they had to push it down your throat always. And in this one, there's no sign of this necklace ever existing. I even totally forgot about it until I sat down to write the script for this video. Like, really? I love the new direction the story went, but for a sequel, I don't think that this game has too much in common with the previous game. It's mostly just the characters. I gotta be honest, at first I was really put off by the new character models. They looked pretty weird to me, but after I went back to play the first Knack, I found some new appreciation for the new models. Okay, is it only me, or does Katrina look like Chloe from Uncharted? Okay. It might be just me. And lastly, I didn't really buy the villain plot twist, I just didn't feel the build up to it. Anyways, that's my opinion on Knack 2. If you wanna share yours, write it in the comments. If you like this video, you know what to do. That's all from me, and bye for now. Peace.